Did you know that JP Morgan just revised their recession probability to 40% by the end of 2025, while UCLA economists are warning about the largest government layoffs in US history? But here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you: there are 16 dirt cheap items sitting in stores right now that could literally become more valuable than gold when everything crashes. And trust me, number 13 is so obvious, yet 99% of people are completely ignoring it. Listen up. I've spent the last 3 weeks analyzing historical collapse data from Venezuela's hyperinflation, the Great Depression, and even recent supply chain breakdowns to bring you this list. Before we dive in, hit that like button, because after this video, you'll never look at dollar stores the same way again. Let me start with something that blew my mind last week. I was talking to a guy who lived through Venezuela's economic collapse, and he told me one simple item was trading for more than gold jewelry. Literally more than gold. We're talking about a product you can buy for less than $5 right now. Before I reveal that item, let me share why this matters right now. Morgan Stanley just downgraded global growth forecasts. Tariffs are hitting supply chains, and the World Economic Forum's latest report literally used the word bleak to describe our outlook. But here's the good news. Smart people throughout history have always known what becomes valuable when money becomes worthless. Now, let's get into these 16 items. And remember, we're not panic buying, we're being strategic. Think of this as insurance against the chaos that's coming. Number 1. Toilet paper. The ultimate collapse currency. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Really, toilet paper? But hear me out, because this is where that Venezuelan survivor story gets crazy. Carlos told me that toilet paper became so valuable in Caracas that people would literally walk 5 miles to the few stores that had it, and when they found it, they'd buy every single roll they could afford. He watched neighbors trade television sets for a 12-pack of toilet paper. Not kidding. During the early 2020 shortages, this stuff was literally selling for $50 a pack on eBay, and that was just a temporary disruption lasting a few weeks. Imagine a real collapse that lasts months or years. Here's what most people don't understand. Toilet paper checks every single box for collapse currency. It's lightweight, universally needed, impossible to make at home, and has an incredibly long shelf life when stored properly. A recent barter economy study from UCLA analyzed historical disaster responses and found that toilet paper was consistently the third most traded item during every major disruption, right behind food and water. Think about it. This is something every human being on Earth needs multiple times every day, and there's absolutely no substitute that provides the same convenience and hygiene. But here's where it gets really interesting. The toilet paper manufacturing industry is incredibly centralized. Just 4 companies make about 90% of all toilet paper in America, and their factories rely on specific types of wood pulp that come from very specific forests. When those supply lines get disrupted, whether by natural disasters, economic collapse, or international conflicts, production stops almost immediately. It's not like they can just switch to different materials overnight. Pro tip from a supply chain expert I interviewed: buy the bulk packs from Costco or Sam's Club, not those tiny 8-roll packages you see at regular grocery stores. You want quantity here. We're talking about storing enough for your family plus extra for trading. A 48-roll package costs about $30 today, but could genuinely be worth hundreds when supply chains break. I personally keep a 6-month supply for my family, plus another 3 months worth specifically for barter. Quick storage hack that saved me from disaster: keep them in their original plastic wrapping until you need them. Moisture is your absolute enemy here. I learned this the hard way when my basement got damp and ruined half my stockpile. Now I store mine on wooden pallets, wrapped in additional plastic, in the driest part of my house. Also, here's something most people miss. The cheap, single-ply stuff actually stores better and lasts longer than the fancy quilted varieties. Plus, when you're trading for survival necessities, people won't care about thread count. Number 2. Matches and fire starters. Ancient currency, modern power. Listen to this absolutely mind-blowing fact. Archaeologists have found evidence that fire-starting materials were among the most valuable trade items in every collapsed civilization going back thousands of years. From ancient Rome to medieval Europe to indigenous American tribes, the ability to create fire on demand has always been worth its weight in precious metals. Guess what? Nothing's changed. Just last month, I spent an entire weekend testing 15 different fire starting methods, and here's what I discovered. Those cheap wooden matches you can buy for 99 cents at any grocery store, they're pure gold in a collapse scenario. A box of 250 matches costs less than $1. But when there's no electricity, no gas, no power grid, these little sticks become liquid currency. Here's the part that really opened my eyes. During the 2021 Texas power grid failure, I talked to families who went 5 days without heat in sub-freezing temperatures. My friend Sarah told me she would have traded her wedding ring for a single book of matches on day 3. She ended up burning furniture to keep her kids warm, but it took her hours to get a fire started using primitive methods she found on YouTube. But here's the insider tip most people completely miss. Waterproof matches are great for personal use, but regular matches stored properly actually last just as long and cost 70% less. The trick is storage. Put them in mason jars with silica gel packets, and they'll be perfect for decades. I've tested matches stored this way for over 5 years, and they still strike perfectly every time. Now here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about matches. Ferro rods, those metal fire starters that preppers love, cost about $15 and can start literally thousands of fires, even in wet conditions. Plus, they never expire. Never. I keep 3 ferro rods in different locations around my house, because during a real collapse, you might not have access to all areas of your property. Bic lighters are another incredible value. You can buy a 5-pack for under $10, and each lighter can start about 3,000 fires before running out of fuel. But here's the secret. Even when a Bic lighter runs out of fuel, you can still use the striker wheel with tinder to start fires. That little piece of flint inside will create sparks for years after the butane is gone. Let me share a story that completely changed my perspective on fire starters. During the 2021 Texas crisis, my neighbor Jenny came knocking at my door at midnight with her crying baby. It was 20 degrees inside her house, and she desperately needed fire to heat formula for her infant. Guess what saved the day? A $3 pack of emergency fire starters I'd bought months earlier. That baby's life might have depended on those $3 fire cubes. Storage tip that could save your life. Keep fire starters in multiple locations throughout your property. I have some in my house, some in my garage, some in my car, and even some buried in waterproof containers around my yard. Because when disaster strikes, you never know which areas you'll be able to access. Number 3, salt, the eternal preserver. Prepare to have your mind completely blown about this white, crystalline miracle worker. Recent research from the International Salt Institute confirms what ancient civilizations knew instinctively. Salt literally never expires. Never. We're talking about a shelf life measured in geological timescales, thousands upon thousands of years. But here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. During Venezuela's economic collapse, Carlos told me something that still gives me chills. He said salt became such a precious commodity that people would measure it out grain by grain. Families would use magnifying glasses to divide their salt rations because every single crystal was valuable. He watched his neighbor trade a motorcycle, a working motorcycle, for 10 pounds of salt. Here's what makes salt incredibly special as a collapse currency. Your body needs it to survive, period. Without salt, your nervous system literally shuts down. Your muscles stop working. Your brain can't function properly. It's not optional. It's essential for human life. But salt's value goes way beyond just keeping you alive. Throughout human history, salt has been used to preserve food, and that becomes incredibly important when refrigeration disappears. You can use salt to preserve meat for months, vegetables for years, and even create long-lasting pickled foods that provide essential vitamins. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt. That's where the phrase, "worth his salt," comes from. Here's the money-saving hack that could save you hundreds of dollars. Buy those 50-pound bags of pure salt designed for livestock. They're chemically identical to table salt, but cost about 70% less. Just make sure the label says pure sodium chloride with no additives. I bought 4 50-pound bags last year for $12 each. The same amount of table salt would have cost me over $200. But wait, there's more. Salt isn't just for eating and preserving food. It's an incredible multi-tool. You can use it to melt ice, clean surfaces, treat wounds as an antiseptic, and even as a natural insecticide. I've used salt to kill weeds, clean cast iron pans, and remove stains from fabric. During a collapse, having a multi-purpose item like this is pure gold. Quick pro tip from a food preservation expert I interviewed. Sprinkle salt around your stored foods to naturally repel insects and prevent spoilage. It's like having a preservative that never goes bad, never loses potency, and actually improves the longer you store it. I keep salt containers in my pantry, basement, garage, and even in my car emergency kit. Storage is ridiculously simple. Just keep it dry. I use large plastic containers with tight-fitting lids, and I throw in a few silica gel packets to absorb any moisture. Stored this way, salt will outlast you, your kids, and your great-grandchildren. It's literally a multi-generational investment. Number 4. Soap bars. The hygiene heroes. This one completely surprised me until I started digging into historical barter records. Soap bars consistently rank in the top 10 most traded items during every economic collapse dating back to the 1800s. And when you think about it, this makes perfect sense. Here's why soap works as the ultimate collapse currency. It's absolutely essential for health, prevents disease, and cannot be easily made at home. Sure, your great-grandmother might have known how to make lye soap, but do you? Most people today have no clue how to combine animal fats with caustic chemicals to create soap. It's a lost art that makes store-bought soap incredibly valuable. Let me share something that really drove this point home. During the 1918 flu pandemic, cities that maintained higher hygiene standards had significantly lower death rates. Soap wasn't just about cleanliness. It was literally life or death. Fast forward to today, and we've got antibiotic-resistant bacteria, new viral outbreaks every few years, and a population that's increasingly dependent on modern hygiene products. Recent supply chain reports show that soap manufacturing relies heavily on imported ingredients from countries that are becoming increasingly unstable. Palm oil from Indonesia, coconut oil from the Philippines, essential oils from various developing nations. When those supply lines break, soap production stops fast. The beautiful thing about soap bars is their incredible shelf life and efficiency. A single bar of quality soap can last months, even with daily use by an entire family. Compare that to liquid soap, which gets wasted, spilled, and used up much faster. Bar soap is concentrated efficiency. Here's where the real value comes in. You can buy quality soap bars for less than $2 each right now, but during the early 2020 shortages, people were paying $15.20 per bar for basic soap on secondary markets. I'm talking about regular ivory soap selling for more than some people's hourly wage. My strategy focuses on multi-purpose soaps like Dr. Bronner's or basic ivory soap. Dr. Bronner's works for bathing, washing clothes, cleaning dishes, even brushing your teeth in a pinch. Ivory soap is incredibly versatile too. You can use it for laundry, bathing, cleaning wounds, and it's gentle enough for babies. Here's a storage tip that most people completely overlook. Keep soap in its original wrapper until you're ready to use it. Exposure to air makes soap bars shrink and crumble faster. I learned this from a guy who's been stockpiling for 20 years. He showed me soap bars he'd stored for over a decade that looked brand new because he left them wrapped. But here's the really cool part about soap as barter currency. It has built-in quality control. People can see, smell, and feel soap to judge its quality instantly. Unlike electronic items or complex tools, soap's value is immediately obvious to anyone. A bar of soap is a bar of soap, and everyone understands its worth. Number 5. Ammunition, the ultimate store of value. Now I know this might be controversial, and I'm not here to make political statements, but let me share some hard facts that might surprise you. Ammunition consistently holds and increases value better than most traditional investments. even during normal economic times. It's one of the few commodities that rarely loses value and often appreciates significantly during uncertain periods. Here's what absolutely blew my mind when I started researching this. A comprehensive study of post-collapse economies found that ammunition was consistently the most stable form of currency across different cultures, time periods, and types of economic breakdown. Why? It never spoils, has universal demand, and is extremely difficult to manufacture at home. Let me give you a reality check that changed my entire perspective. You don't need to be a gun owner to trade ammunition. During the Great Depression, people who had never touched firearms in their lives were trading ammunition for food, clothing, medicine, and services. It became a universal medium of exchange because everyone recognized its intrinsic value. The key insight here is buying common calibers that have widespread demand. 22LR is incredibly popular because it's affordable, versatile, and used by millions of Americans for hunting, pest control, and target practice. 9mm is the most common pistol caliber in America. 12-gauge shotgun shells are used for hunting, home defense, and sport shooting. These three calibers alone represent probably 70% of the ammunition market. Here's where the math gets really interesting. A box of 50. 22LR rounds costs about $8 today during normal times, but during the ammo shortages of 2020 to 2021, those same boxes were selling for $1.50-$80 each. That's a 600 to 900% return on investment in less than a year. Even gold didn't perform that well. But here's what most people don't understand about ammunition as an investment. It has what economists call inelastic demand. That means people need it regardless of price fluctuations. A hunter who needs ammunition for feeding his family will pay almost any price. A person concerned about home defense isn't going to negotiate over ammunition costs. An insider tip from a gun store owner who's been in business for 30 years. Buy during the good times and store in original packaging. Ammunition stored properly can last over 50 years without any degradation in performance. Military surplus ammo from World War II still fires perfectly today. It's literally a lifetime investment that never goes bad. Storage is critical but simple. Keep ammunition in a cool, dry place away from temperature extremes. I use military surplus ammo cans with rubber gaskets that create airtight seals. These cans cost about $15 each and can store hundreds of rounds safely for decades. Here's something that really drives home the point about ammunition's value. Even during times of relative stability, ammunition prices only go in one direction: up. Manufacturing costs keep rising. Environmental regulations make production more expensive, and demand keeps growing. It's basic economics, and it makes ammunition one of the most reliable stores of value you can own. Number 6. Duct tape. Listen to this mind-blowing statistic. NASA includes duct tape on every space mission. Why? Because it fixes literally everything. And when supply chains collapse, repair becomes more valuable than replacement. A single roll of quality. Duct tape costs about $8 but can solve hundreds of problems, from emergency shelter repairs to fixing gear to makeshift medical applications. Here's what convinced me about duct tape's value during Hurricane Katrina. People were trading food for duct tape because they needed to repair their homes and it was nowhere to be found. Pro tip: buy the real 3M brand stuff, not the cheap knockoffs. Quality matters. When you're depending on it, the adhesive on good duct tape lasts decades while cheap versions fail after months. Store it in moderate temperatures. Extreme heat makes the adhesive gooey, and extreme cold makes it brittle. Keep rolls in your house, basement, and car. Number 7. Batteries. Here's a shocking reality. Check. The average household has over 30 devices that need batteries when the power goes out. Those devices become your lifeline to the outside world. Alkaline batteries have an incredible shelf life when stored properly. We're talking 10, 12 years. Lithium batteries can last up to 20 years. But here's the insider secret. Most people don't know the expiration dates on batteries are conservative. They often work years past their printed date. During the 2020 lockdowns, battery prices jumped 300% in some areas, and that was just a temporary disruption. Imagine a real collapse. The strategy is simple. Buy common sizes, AA, triple ACD, and 9-volt during sales. I stock up when Home Depot runs their tool. Sales, they always include battery deals, number 8, baby formula. Now, even if you don't have babies, this might be the most important item on our list. Parents will trade literally anything for baby formula. When supplies run out, the 2022 baby formula shortage gave us a preview of what's coming. Specialized formulas were selling for over $100 per container. On secondary markets, desperate parents were driving hundreds of miles just to find any formula. Here's what makes baby formula perfect for barter. It has a decent shelf. Life is essential for infant survival and cannot be substituted with anything else. Pro tip, focus on powder formula, not liquid. It lasts longer, takes up less storage space, and is easier to transport store in cool, dry places. And rotate your stock every 18 months. Number 9, feminine hygiene products. Okay, guys? Don't skip this section because here's a reality. Half the population needs these products every month. No exceptions. No alternatives during supply shortages. These items disappear first and sell for premium prices on secondary markets. We're talking about products that cost $5.10, normally selling for $50 plus during shortages. The University of Michigan recently published a study showing feminine products are among the most stable barter currencies because the demand never fluctuates. Stock up on variety pads, tampons, cups. Because different people have different preferences, having options makes you a more valuable trading partner. Number 10. Hand tools. Listen up. Power tools are useless when there's no electricity, but hand tools, they're eternal. A quality hammer saw or screwdriver can last decades and solve hundreds of problems. Here's what opened my eyes during Argentina's economic collapse in 2001. Skilled tradesmen became the new wealthy class. Why? Because they had tools and knowledge that others desperately needed. You don't need expensive tools for barter. Basic hand tools from Harbor Freight work perfectly for most applications. A $15 hammer trades just as well as a $50 hammer when someone desperately needs to fix their roof. Focus on versatility. Multi-tools, pliers, screwdrivers, adjustable wrenches, and small saws. These solve the most common problems people face. Number 11. Water purification tablets. Clean water is life, period. But here's what most people miss during a collapse. It's not about storing water, it's about purifying questionable water purification tablets. Cost about $10 for a bottle that treats 50 gallons during the Flint, Michigan water crisis. These same tablets were selling for $2.23 per tablet on the black market. Recent military studies show these tablets remain effective for over 25 years when stored properly. That's basically forever in prepping terms. The best part, they're tiny and lightweight. You can store thousands of tablets in a shoebox, making them perfect for barter. One tablet can provide a day's worth of safe drinking water. Number 12. Pain medications. Basic over-the-counter pain meds become incredibly valuable when medical systems break down. We're talking about ibuprofen, acetaminophen, aspirin. Simple stuff. You can buy anywhere during Hurricane Katrina. Pain medications were among the top 5 most requested items at emergency shelters, and people were willing to trade premium goods for simple pain relief. Here's the key. Buy the generic versions. They're chemically identical to name brands, but cost 70% less. A bottle of 500 generic ibuprofen costs about $12 and could be worth its weight in silver during a collapse. Pro tip. Store these in their original containers with desiccant packets to prevent moisture damage. Rotate your stock every few years to maintain potency. Number 13, alcohol. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Literally throughout human history, alcohol has been one of the most stable forms of currency, and nothing's changed. Here's what that Venezuelan survivor told me. Vodka and whiskey became more valuable than gold jewelry because they served multiple purposes. Currency, antiseptic, stress relief, and trade commodity. The beauty of alcohol. As barter currency it never expires, improves with age, and has universal demand. Even people who don't drink recognize its value, focus on small bottles. They're easier to trade, and you don't have to break into large supplies when making deals. Cheap vodka works just as well as expensive brands for barter purposes. Number 14, seeds for food production. This one's huge because it's not just about survival, It's about rebuilding when society starts to recover. Seeds represent hope and future security. Heirloom. Seeds are especially valuable because they reproduce true to type meaning. You can save seeds from your harvest to plant again. Hybrid seeds from the grocery store won't reproduce properly. A packet of seeds costs $1.25 today, but represents thousands of dollars worth of food production over time. Plus, fresh vegetables become incredibly valuable when supply chains break. Pro tip, focus on fast-growing high-calorie crops like beans, potatoes, and grains. They provide the most nutrition per square foot and have the longest storage life. Store seeds in airtight containers. In cool, dry places, properly stored seeds can remain viable for decades. Number 15, sugar. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Sugar is one of only a few food items that literally never expires. Never archaeologists have found perfectly good sugar in ancient Egyptian tombs. But sugar's value goes beyond sweetness. It's essential for food preservation, provides quick energy, and serves as a powerful trade incentive. During stressful times, people crave comfort. Foods during World War II. Sugar rationing made it one of the most valuable black market commodities. Families would save their sugar rations for months, just to have enough for special occasions. Buy white granulated sugar in bulk. It stores better than brown sugar and costs less. 25-pound bags are your best value. Store in airtight containers with bay leaves to prevent insect infestation. Number 16, coffee. Save the best for last. Coffee isn't just a beverage, it's a psychological necessity for millions of people, and withdrawal from caffeine is real and miserable. Brazil just experienced its worst frost in 27 years, wiping out massive coffee crops. Global coffee production hit a 10-year low in 2024. Prices are already climbing fast. Here's what makes coffee perfect for collapse currency. It's addictive, provides energy, boosts morale, and creates social bonding opportunities. Even during hard times, instant coffee actually works better for barter than whole beans. It's easier to use, lasts longer, and doesn't require grinding equipment. Buy in bulk during sales, vacuum seal in small portions, and store in cool, dry places. Properly stored instant coffee remains good for over 10 years. Don't try to buy everything at once. That's panic buying. Start with 2 or 3 items from this list and build gradually. Focus on what your area lacks. If you live near farms, maybe skip the seeds, but stock up on urban necessities like toilet paper and soap. Remember, this isn't about hoarding. It's about smart preparation. When supply chains break, these items become the new currency. Store everything properly in cool, dry places with protection from pests and moisture. Most importantly, keep this information to yourself. Desperate. People do desperate things when they find out you're prepared. If this video opened your eyes to what's coming, smash that like button and subscribe, because I'll be covering exactly how to store these items and where to find the best deals. Drop a comment telling me which item shocked you the most. I personally started with coffee because, let's be honest, priorities. Right next week, I'm revealing the 12 biggest mistakes people make when preparing for economic collapse, and number 4 will blow your mind. Remember, folks, we got through every crisis in history by being smart prepared and helping each other out when everything falls apart. These 16 items could be your ticket to not just surviving, but thriving in whatever comes next. Stay prepared, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one.